Stop waiting for the moment you forget a loved one's name to seek professional medical advice. By the time noticeable memory problems appear, some brain changes may already have been developing gradually over time. Dementia rarely appears overnight. Many researchers believe the process can begin quietly decades before noticeable symptoms emerge. Early clues can be surprisingly subtle, including small changes in handwriting, the way your arms swing while walking, or a gradual decline in your sense of smell. These signals may seem minor, but they can sometimes reflect early neurological changes, reminding us that paying attention to brain health earlier may truly matter. In this video, we'll explore several early warning signs that may appear long before memory loss becomes obvious. The loss of smell is one of the most overlooked early signals associated with cognitive decline. If you notice that your favorite foods no longer smell as rich as they once did, or you struggle to recognize subtle scents in the air, it may be worth paying closer attention. Researchers have discovered that changes in the sense of smell can appear years before obvious memory problems develop. In a large study conducted by the University of Chicago, they were found to have a higher likelihood of developing dementia in the following years. One explanation lies in how the brain processes smell. The olfactory bulb, which detects and interprets scents, is closely connected to the hippocampus, a critical region responsible for memory formation. Because these brain areas are linked, subtle changes in smell may sometimes reflect early neurological changes already developing beneath the surface. Building on the fading sense of smell, another early signal can appear during something we all rely on every night: sleep. Beyond simple tiredness, persistent sleep disruption may suggest that the brain's internal maintenance system is not working as efficiently as it should. During deep sleep, the brain activates a specialized network called the glymphatic system. This system helps flush out metabolic waste and proteins that accumulate throughout the day, including substances linked to Alzheimer's disease. When sleep becomes fragmented or consistently poor, this natural cleaning process may become less effective. As a result, certain waste products can begin accumulating faster than the brain can remove them. Over time, this may create a cycle in which poor sleep harms brain health, which then leads to even more disrupted sleep. While many people blame chronic sleep problems on stress or aging, they can sometimes reflect deeper neurological changes developing silently over years. Moving from the brain's internal maintenance systems to its outward physical signals, another subtle warning sign can appear in fine motor control. If you compare something you wrote 5 years ago with your handwriting today, you might notice a clear difference. When letters gradually become smaller, tighter, and more difficult to read, it may indicate a neurological change known as micrographia. This shift is often linked to the brain's motor control network, particularly regions like the basal ganglia that regulate the size, speed, and fluidity of movement. When these systems begin to work less efficiently, movements that once felt automatic can slowly become reduced and restricted. Handwriting tends to reveal these changes early because it depends on precise coordination and steady motion. Although many people assume this difference simply reflects aging or writing less often, it can sometimes serve as an early neurological signal worth noticing. Just as the brain struggles to maintain the scale of physical movements, it can also lose control over complex mental coordination. This brings us to the gradual decline of the brain's executive center, the frontal lobes. This region helps plan, organize, and manage multiple streams of information at once. You might remember when you could easily cook dinner while helping with homework and thinking about your schedule. Now, even holding a conversation while doing a simple task can feel mentally exhausting. As dementia develops, the prefrontal cortex gradually loses neurons and critical connections, making it increasingly difficult for the brain to manage several responsibilities at once. Many people assume this struggle simply means they are becoming more distracted or forgetful with age. In reality, the shift from effortless multitasking to constant mental overload can signal that the brain's executive control systems are beginning to deteriorate. Beyond the breakdown of mental coordination, these neurological changes begin to appear in the rhythm of how you move through the world. Natural arm swing is a complex motor pattern that your brain controls automatically, without any conscious effort. However, as the motor cortex and basal ganglia begin to change, these automatic programs can become less efficient, causing movements to appear more rigid or restricted. You may observe that while walking, one arm barely moves, or both arms hang stiffly at your sides instead of swinging naturally. Changes in rhythmic arm movement have been studied as possible early motor signals in several neurodegenerative conditions. Because these changes in arm swing can begin many years earlier, they often serve as an overlooked early warning sign. Even a brief glance at your reflection in a store window can reveal whether your brain still coordinates these once effortless movements. As the rhythm of physical movement begins to fade, you may also notice that your inner drive slowly disappears. Activities and social gatherings that once brought you excitement may start to feel uninteresting or exhausting. Many people assume this change is simply depression, aging, or a lack of motivation, but the explanation can be more complex. In some cases, it reflects changes in the brain's reward system, particularly the dopamine circuits located in the midbrain. These circuits play a crucial role in generating feelings of pleasure, anticipation, and motivation. When they begin to function less efficiently, the brain may struggle to produce the signals that once made activities feel rewarding. Hobbies such as reading, woodworking, or meeting friends may gradually lose their appeal. Because this shift in motivation can sometimes appear early, a persistent loss of interest in previously enjoyable activities may be a change worth paying attention to and discussing with a healthcare professional. While the loss of motivation changes your internal world, another shift can begin to distort how you perceive the physical space around you. You might start misjudging distances when parking your car or reaching for objects on a table. This is usually not caused by a problem with your eyes, but rather by changes in the brain's visual processing centers located in the occipital and parietal lobes. These regions transform raw visual input into a coherent spatial map that helps you estimate distance, position, and movement. When these circuits begin to weaken, the brain may struggle to interpret visual information accurately. You might bump into door frames, knock objects over, or find reading and distinguishing colors more difficult. As this internal map becomes less reliable, everyday navigation can gradually feel confusing and uncertain. Recognizing these early changes is important because they may signal that the brain's ability to process complex visual information is beginning to decline. As your internal spatial map begins to blur, you may also notice that the narrative threads of everyday life become harder to follow. This shift often involves the temporal lobes, brain regions responsible for processing complex sounds, language, and sequences of events. You might realize that television mysteries, political discussions, or detailed conversations suddenly feel difficult to track. Characters become confusing, and the connections between events seem to slip away. This happens because the brain is gradually losing the ability to hold several pieces of information in working memory and link them into a meaningful sequence. Many people assume the programs have simply become more complicated or that they are too tired to concentrate. In reality, this growing difficulty in identifying people, remembering details, and following storylines can be an important neurological warning sign. It may indicate that the brain's language processing and semantic memory networks are beginning to weaken. Just as your ability to follow complex narratives begins to weaken, you may also notice that your physical responses to the world are becoming slower. This change in reaction time is not simply a result of aging muscles, but often reflects the brain taking longer to process information and send motor commands. The speed of your neural communication depends heavily on structures called myelin sheaths, fatty layers that insulate nerve fibers and allow electrical signals to travel quickly and efficiently. As neurodegenerative processes begin, these protective layers and neurotransmitter systems may gradually weaken. As a result, the brain's internal signaling network becomes slower and less reliable. You might notice a delay when trying to catch a falling object or when reacting to sudden traffic situations while driving. Although many people attribute these changes to normal aging, a noticeable drop in reaction speed can sometimes signal underlying neurological decline. Before we finish, there is one important thing you should understand. The most important takeaway is that these warning signs can appear many years before a formal diagnosis of dementia is made. By the time clear memory loss leads someone to seek medical evaluation, significant changes may have already occurred in the brain. Recognizing these early warning signs therefore creates a valuable opportunity to respond sooner. The brain has a remarkable ability to adapt and maintain function when it is supported by healthy conditions. This includes balanced nutrition, strong cardiovascular health that delivers oxygen and nutrients to brain tissue, and regular mental and physical activity that keeps neural networks active. Taking action early can help strengthen the brain's resilience and slow the progression of cognitive decline. Waiting until symptoms become severe makes recovery far more difficult because the brain may have fewer remaining resources to compensate for the damage. This content is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for the support.